Every single human who has ever lived has asked this one question, and not one of them has come back with a definite answer. What actually happens after you die? In the next few minutes, we're going to look at this from three completely different angles. What science says happens inside your brain in your final moments. What thousands of people who came close to death actually experienced. And what different cultures and philosophers across history believed happens next. Some of what you're about to hear is backed by real lab studies. Some of it is pure mystery. And by the end, you might walk away with more questions than answers. But trust me, they'll be questions worth thinking about. Let's start with the body. The moment your heart stops beating, blood stops flowing to your brain. Within 10 seconds, you lose consciousness. But here's the surprising part. Your brain doesn't shut off instantly. It stays active for several more minutes. In 2013, scientists studying rats found something shocking. In the 30 seconds after the heart stopped, brain activity actually spiked, higher than during normal waking life. Some researchers believe this could explain why so many people report vivid, intense experiences right before death. Now here's where it gets even stranger. In a 2022 study, doctors recorded the brain activity of a dying human patient for the first time ever, completely by accident. In the final 30 seconds before death, they detected gamma wave activity, the same type of brainwave linked to memory recall and dreaming. In other words, in your final moments, your brain might replay your life. Not as a metaphor, as an actual measurable biological event. But the body isn't done yet. After the brain goes quiet, your cells don't die immediately. Some cells, especially in skin and connective tissue, can survive for hours, even days. Scientists have actually managed to partially reactivate organ cells in pigs, a full hour after death. Death, it turns out, isn't a single moment. It's a process. So that's the biology. But what about consciousness? What about the experience of dying itself? This is where things get controversial. Across cultures, religions, and centuries, people who've come close to death report strikingly similar experiences. A bright light, a feeling of peace, seeing deceased loved ones, time slowing down or disappearing entirely. These are called near-death experiences, or NDEs. And they've been reported by an estimated 5% of the population, people from completely different cultures, religions, even atheists with no prior belief in an afterlife, describing remarkably similar events. Scientists don't fully agree on why. Some believe it's purely biological, a flood of chemicals and oxygen deprivation creating vivid hallucinations. Others point to that gamma wave spike we just talked about, suggesting the brain creates one final, intense burst of conscious experience. But skeptics ask a harder question. If the brain is shutting down, how are some patients recalling detailed, accurate events from the room around them, while clinically dead, with zero brain activity on the monitors? Cases like this exist, and science still doesn't have a complete answer. This is where philosophy steps in, because here's the truth. No two cultures in human history have answered the question of death the same way. In ancient Egypt, death wasn't an ending, it was a journey. The soul would travel through the underworld, facing trials, before being judged by the god Anubis. Your heart would be weighed against a feather. Pass, and you'd enter paradise. Fail, and you'd be erased from existence entirely. In Hinduism and Buddhism, death isn't final at all. It's a transition. Your soul, your consciousness, continues into another life through reincarnation, shaped by your actions, your karma, in this one. In many Western religions, death leads to judgment, then an eternal destination, heaven, or its opposite. And then there's the modern philosophical view, held by many scientists and atheists, that consciousness is simply a product of brain activity. When the brain stops, the experience of you stops with it. No afterlife, no continuation, just nothing. The same nothing you experienced before you were born. Which raises an uncomfortable question. Is nothing actually frightening? Philosophers have debated this for thousands of years. The Greek philosopher Epicurus argued that death cannot be bad for you, because once you're dead, there's no you left to experience the badness. You won't feel sadness, fear, or loss, because there's no you left to feel anything at all. In a strange way, maybe death isn't something that happens to you. Maybe it's the one experience you'll never actually experience. So where does that leave us? Somewhere between biology, near-death testimony, and centuries of philosophy, all pointing at the same unanswerable question. What we do know is this. Your brain, in its final moments, may light up more than ever before. Your body holds on far longer than most people realize, and across every culture, every religion, every era of human history, we've never stopped trying to answer this one question. Maybe that's the real takeaway. Not the answer itself, but the fact that this question has shaped art, religion, philosophy, and science for as long as humans have existed. Death isn't just an ending. It's the reason we search for meaning while we're alive. If this made you think differently about life, hit subscribe, because next, we're exploring what happens if the universe itself eventually dies. Comment, universe, if you want that video next.